Welcome to the 25th edition of the Tempo Storm Shadowverse Meta Snapshot, the final one for the Darkness Over Vellsar expansion. In the mini-expansion reveal stage for Darkness Over Vellsar, the community was worried for the future of Shadowcraft due to the number of banish options made available. After all, Shadowcraft was barely clinging onto the tier list, and Last Word's Shadow has been banished from the meta since the beginning of the expansion. As it turns out, all the banishing effects in the game were not enough to overcome the powers of Ominous Tyrant and Wicked Rebirth, Shadowcraft's newest additions in the mini-expansion. Along with a substantial buff to Nightmare Devourer, Last Word's Shadow came back from the dead. The deck wants some Last Words with Shadowverse players around the world before core cards such as Gremmery and Nightmare Devourer rotate out, along with the rest of World Uprooted. The other notable buff was given to Ralmia, granting her the Artifact trait. As the only non-token artifact card currently in the game, she gets all the benefits of being an artifact, allowing the card to be drawn by artifact tutors, lowering the cost of Paradigm Shift, and proccing the effects of Mobilized Factory. This simple and effective change gives another layer of consistency to Artifact Portal as a whole. All these combined pushed Last Word's Shadow and Artifact Portal to the top of Tier 1, crowning them as the apex predators of the mini-expansion and creating a shift in the overall meta. The former champion, Sekka Forest, is now lingering near the bottom of Tier 2 due to its unfavorable matchups against the two new Tier 1 decks. Before we go into the details of the final tier list in Darkness Over Vellsar, remember to like and subscribe to our Tempo Strategy YouTube channel for the latest decks and strategy content. Most decks in Shadowverse get 2 new cards every mini-expansion. Last Word's Shadow, thanks to the buff to Nightmare Devourer, essentially got 3, with all 3 cards supplementing the Last Word's Shadow archetype. Its rise in popularity is the cause of the decline for last month's top-tier Forestcraft decks and the meta shift that followed. The deck not only has a wide range of positive matchups, but it is also a very consistent deck overall. Besides the upgraded Ralmia that Artifact Portal received in the balance patch, the deck also received Quicksilver Aegis in the mini-expansion, almost a strict upgrade to Elemental Brink for dealing with pesky Tiamats or Halisenas. While Artifact Portal is slightly unfavored against Last Word's Shadow, it has better matchups against the up-and-coming Evo Portal and Roost Dragon. Loxus Forest received little to no support in the mini-expansion, with only the new Gigantic Blossom being used optimally in a cell variance of the deck. The main challenge for Loxus Forest is an abysmal matchup against the popular Tier 1 Last Word's Shadow, as Loxus struggles to clear multiple massive boards and wards created by Chris and the Invincible Monster Trio to deal damage to the enemy leader. Putting that matchup aside, however, Loxus is still a pretty strong deck against the rest of the meta, earning its place at the top of Tier 2. As Last Word's Shadow became popular, Bike Dragon took some collateral damage, as Razia's effect is also triggered by her last words. This difficulty is not something that Bike Dragon can't overcome. However, since Razia can always be traded with Rush from a bike or be destroyed intentionally with Bahamut's Accelerate effect. In recent months, Triple Gondagoza and even Triple Jerva have gained popularity. Evo Portal finally became a proper deck with the addition of Absolute Tolerance in the mini-expansion. Now that the deck does not have to rely on boosting both Feyaware and Tien, all it needs is a stacked Feyaware and a single Absolute Tolerance. While on paper it has slightly worse win rates across popular matchups when compared to Roost Dragon right below it, its high degree of consistency gives it an edge as a deck. Check in next week in the Shadowverse section of TempoStorm.com for an Evo Portal guide from our writer Zones, featuring his 24 win streak deck. Last Word's Shadow is the go-to deck for laddering this month, as it's relatively easy to pilot. While the deck is slightly unfavored against Roost Dragon, Dragoncraft players are still split between the Bike Dragon and Roost Dragon archetypes. A predicament arises for new players of the game in the mini-expansion. While Last Word's Shadow is the easier deck to pilot and the overall better deck, Artifact Portal is by far the cheaper deck to craft, and none of its core cards are due for rotation in less than a month. The rise of Last Word's Shadow and Artifact Portal may have lowered the amount of diversity in the meta, but overall, as they are both skill-intensive and consistent decks, they made the meta more fun to play in. While the Tier 1 groups of decks are unlikely to change until the end of the expansion, there is still quite a bit of wiggle room among the Tier 2 spectrum. Aggressive decks in particular can capitalize on Artifact Portal's early game and become more popular. The player Harem has shown us that even aggro Sword can win tournaments with a little bit of luck and make our player Noir regret not giving Cat Admiral an A in the reveal. The start of the Darkness Over Vellsar expansion was marked by a series of decks that required a certain degree of luck. You really wanted an early Arya while playing Sekka, and Loxus was essential in Loxus Forest. Hopefully the next expansion can introduce card tutors and cheap early game card draws to help make decks feel more consistent, especially since matches these days have gotten even quicker than before. With signature cards such as Ralmia, Gremmery, and Ravening Corruption rotating out, along with the rest of World Uprooted, we are likely going to see a big shift in the meta once again. Remember to check our website regularly for exclusive card reveals later this month. We are also working on a unique and exciting project for the upcoming 5th anniversary, which you will definitely not want to miss out on. So keep an eye out for the official announcement on our website and on Reddit. We will see you again next month in the new Shadowverse expansion.